The holidays have come early. In the last few days, we've had Grok3 released, we've had Claude 3.7-Sonnet, and now OpenAI have released their new flagship model, GPT-4.5. And that is what we're going to look at today. In a moment, we're going to have a showdown of a game of Connect 4 between the new GPT-4.5 and the current top of my Connect 4 leaderboard, DeepSeek R1. That's coming right up. But first, let's take a look at the new model. Starting then with the announcement that came out just yesterday from OpenAI announcing GPT-4.5. And in their blog post, you can read more about it, but they explain that it is their strongest and largest model for chat so far. This is the last model that they plan to release that is not a reasoning model or a hybrid reasoning and chat model. So this is the final chat-only model. And you can see that they describe it as having better ability to follow user intent, to talk to you in terms of what you're looking for, a broader knowledge base, and greater EQ. That's what we're going to be looking for in our experiments right now. Now, I'm fortunate that I've subscribed to the GPT Pro plan, the $200 a month plan, and that means I get a sneak peek at the new model, GPT 4.5, that I have selected up here. And we're going to start by asking it a question to try and bring out this kind of user intent and this world knowledge. This difficult question that I've been asking recently: how would you describe the color blue to someone who's never been able to see in no more than 3 sentences? So let's see how this model deals with this quite nuanced, quite rich question. And here we go. Blue is like the calm, cool sensation you feel when touching fresh water or breathing crisp air on a peaceful day. It's the quiet stillness of silence and the depth you sense in open spaces. Blue feels soothing, gentle, and endlessly vast, like thoughts drifting freely without any weight. Now, I got to say, that is a terrific answer. And certainly this becomes obviously a judgment call. But when I compare that to the answer given by GPT-4.0 that you may have seen from my prior video, I think that this is superior. It's more expressive, it's more poetic, it's more nuanced. But it's up to you to see what you think of this answer, and you should put the comments below whether you think this is a step forwards in terms of its chat abilities. So next we're going to ask a hard, kind of logical question, a question which you'll see the reasoning models are all able to answer, but the chat models are not, including Claude 3.7-Sonnet that I just asked this to and did not get it right. The question is, how many words are there in your answer to this question? So it's not just about counting, as some of my prior experiments have been, but this is really a self-referential question and requires it to think things through. So unsurprisingly, reasoning models can handle this, and O1 and O3 Mini get the right answer. ChatGPT, GPT-4.0, and Claude 3.5 and 3.7-Sonnet do not get the right answer, at least in my experiments. Let's see how ChatGPT 4.5 can handle this. Here we go. Let's see, there are 10 words in my answer to this question. Spot on. So great to see that. So it's a chat model, but it's still smart enough or worldly enough to be able to answer a question like that. Now, GPT 4.5 is a multimodal model. So our next test will be looking at the multimodality, the image generation, to test its creativity. I will ask it this tough creativity question. Please generate a hyper-realistic photo image of a black and grey Cocker Spaniel, that's a type of English dog with fluffy ears, eating an apple in the captain's chair of the bridge of a starship. A nice, complicated question. And it's worth bearing in mind that the way that this model has been scaled is at training time. It has more parameters, more fine-tuning or more training, compared with a lot of recent innovations have been at inference time with reasoning approaches, with longer thinking times. So let's see how this does. Here's the image. There is indeed a black and grey Cocker Spaniel eating an apple. And there's a lot about this to love. The floor looks sort of strangely hyper-realistic, and the bridge looks great, and the screen up there. It's quite an impressive image, I have to say. Let's compare it with the image that the prior model, ChatGPT 4.0, came up with. Here it is. So, I mean, it's also a good image, let's face it. But I think you can probably see this looks a little bit more like a cartoon image. The hyperrealism isn't there in the same way. So it's marginal. It's not like there's a huge difference, but I would definitely say again that ChatGPT 4.5 has the edge here. I think if I did a blind test, I would pick this for sure, but I'm super interested in your opinion. So my rather unscientific conclusion is that it does feel like ChatGPT 4.5 has the edge for sure over GPT 4.0. We're seeing answers that are more nuanced. We're seeing it can accurately count the number of words in its answer, a self-referential question, even though it's not a reasoning model. It seems to me like it, as far as I can tell, it doesn't have the level of depth of a reasoning model as we'd expect. But when it comes to comparing it to other chat models, it does seem to have the edge, including over Claude3.7-Sonnet, Anthropic's new model. But of course, the real test, and the test you're waiting for, is whether or not it can play Connect 4, that super important test, and that is what we're going to come to right now. Now, I need to make a couple of things clear right away. As we go to this Connect 4 battle, first thing is that there's not going to be any cherry picking here. This is going to be the game that I'm going to play, the only game that I'm going to play. And the reason that's true is it's going to be quite an expensive game of Connect 4. I think this one game is going to cost me a few dollars. So it's not the kind of thing that I could afford to cherry pick. Secondly, I've been wondering for a while, what model should I pit against GPT 4.5, and in thinking about it, I thought that I really should pick the model that is top of the leaderboard on my Connect 4 game, which is on my website at edwardonner.com. And as we stand right now, somewhat surprisingly, ahead of even O3 Mini and well ahead of 3.7-Sonnet, is DeepSeek R1. Not the full version of DeepSeek R1, which actually isn't stable enough to complete games reliably, but a version that's the distilled version. It's the version which is running in a 70 billion parameter model that's been trained off synthetic data from DeepSeek R1. So it's the 70 billion version of DeepSeek R1, and it's top of the leaderboard of my Connect 4 arena by quite some margin. So with that, it's time for us to start a game. In red, the challenger is going to be GPT 4.0 preview. In yellow is going to be DeepSeek R1 at 70 billion, and we're now going to run the game. I do believe, basically, every move that red now makes is going to cost me 10 cents. So this, as I say, is an expensive proposition. And I rather hope that our challenger GPT 4.5 preview either wins or loses quite quickly so that this doesn't rack up a big bill. Anyway, off it goes. And I'm now going to go quiet and see how the game fares. And so there you have it, the shocking conclusion. Our challenger failed to defeat DeepSeek R1, our reigning champion. And it's strange because, as it happens, GPT 4.5 had an opportunity to win and it missed it. And it strangely thought that column G was the winning move. Perhaps just the number of pieces on the board became too much for a non-reasoning model. However, DeepSeek R1 capitalized on its 3 in a row and won the game with the 4th piece there, maintaining its position. So in this thoroughly scientific test, we have seen that DeepSeek R1 maintains its strength, and it's not a huge surprise because this is a reasoning model and this is where reasoning models shine, but it's still a fun experiment, an interesting one to see. If you're interested in more about this Connect 4 arena, I have a video on that, and I also have some videos that look more behind the scenes at how LLMs actually work. And please do check them out and subscribe below, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you again for the next video.